Hello, 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 and welcome back to the English Coffee Talk Show. I'm Eva, and as always, I am so happy you're here with us today. Whether you're listening on your morning commute, doing the dishes, or just chilling out with a cup of something warm, welcome. This is your place to relax, learn, and feel good about your English journey.
And I'm James. Hey everyone, so great to be back. We've got a really packed episode for you today, all about English weather vocabulary. Let's get into it. The weather. We always come back to the weather. And today, that is exactly what we're diving into, because talking about the weather in English is genuinely one of the most important conversational skills you can have. And I know that sounds funny, like, really? The weather? But trust me, we're going to get into why it matters so much.
Yes, and this is such a great topic because I think a lot of English learners underestimate how important it is. Like, weather small talk is everywhere in English-speaking culture. Everywhere. It's not just something British people do, although let's be honest, British people do take it to a whole other level.
We really do. We really do. But here's the thing, and I want our listeners to really understand this. Talking about the weather isn't actually about the weather. It's a social tool. It's a way of saying, hey, I'm friendly, I'm open, let's connect. It's the lowest stakes conversation topic in existence, which is exactly why it's so valuable.
That's such a good point. It's like a verbal handshake. There's no wrong answer, there's no controversy, nobody's going to get offended because you said it's cloudy outside. It's safe, it's universal, and once you've opened with the weather, you've broken the ice, and the conversation can go anywhere from there.
Exactly. So today we're going to give you a really solid toolkit, vocabulary, idioms, real examples, so that the next time you're standing at a bus stop or in a lift with someone and you want to strike up a conversation, you've got everything you need. Let's start with the basics, the rain words, because there are so many more than people think.
Oh, yes. Okay, so let's talk about rain, because not all rain is the same, right? In English, we have really specific words for different kinds of rain, and once you know them, you'll use them all the time. So the most intense one, the really heavy rain, we say it's pouring or pouring rain. Like, I can't go out. It's absolutely pouring out there. That means it is coming down really hard, like buckets of water from the sky.
Right, yeah, and you can also say it's bucketing down or it's tipping it down. Those are very British expressions, but you'll hear them a lot if you're ever in the UK. They both mean the same thing, absolutely pouring, like someone literally tipped a giant bucket of water over the city.
I love tipping it down. It's such a vivid image. Okay, so the opposite end of the rain scale is the lightest possible rain, is drizzle. Drizzle is that super fine, almost misty rain that you can barely see, but you can definitely feel. Like you walk outside and after 5 minutes, your hair is just damp and you're confused about how it happened.
Oh man, I know that feeling so well. You didn't think you needed an umbrella, and now your jacket is mysteriously soaked. Drizzle is sneaky. And then there's a word in between drizzle and pouring, which is spitting, like it's spitting outside. That's when the rain is kind of starting, a few drops here and there. Not enough to really wet you, but enough that you notice it.
Yes, spitting is such a great one. So to recap those for our listeners, spitting is just a few drops starting to fall. Drizzling is steady but very light, very fine rain. And pouring is full-on, heavy, stay-inside kind of rain. Got it? Perfect. Now let's talk about the heat, because there's just as much vocabulary there.
Yes, okay, so for hot weather, the most extreme word is scorching. If it's scorching, it is brutal, uncomfortably hot, like the sun is personally targeting you. You'd say something like, I can't believe how scorching it is today. I'm absolutely melting. And that's not an exaggeration, it's just how we talk.
Melting, yes, a classic. And then coming down from scorching, you've got warm, which is pleasantly hot, like a nice summer day where you're comfortable in a t-shirt and you don't need to complain. And then mild. Mild is interesting because it usually means the weather is kind of moderate, not hot, not cold. It's the perfect word for that in-between season feeling, like early spring or autumn.
Mild is a word that British people use a lot, by the way.
Oh, it's quite mild today, isn't it? Which in British terms means it's not raining and it's above 10 degrees Celsius, so we consider this a success.
That's hilarious, James, and so accurate. Okay, now muggy. This is a word I actually had to have explained to me when I first moved somewhere really humid. Muggy means it's hot and humid at the same time, and the air feels thick and heavy and gross. Like you step outside and it's like walking into a warm, wet blanket.
Ugh, yes, muggy is the worst kind of hot because with dry heat, you can cool down, you can find some shade. But muggy, there's no escape. You're just sweaty and uncomfortable no matter what you do. If you've ever been to Southeast Asia or the American South in summer, you know exactly what muggy feels like. Your shirt just doesn't dry, ever.
Exactly. Your shirt doesn't dry, your hair just does whatever it wants. It's a lot. Okay, so now let's do the wind vocabulary because I think this one surprises people. So the lightest wind is just called a breeze. And a breeze is lovely, right? It's that gentle movement of air on a warm day that makes everything perfect. There was a lovely breeze coming off the sea. Beautiful.
I love a good sea breeze. Yes. And then going up from a breeze, you've got gusty. Gusty means the wind comes in bursts, not constant, but every now and then a strong gust hits you. Like your umbrella turns inside out for a second and then it's fine again. You might say, it's quite gusty today. Hold on to your hat. And I mean that literally sometimes.
Literally. And then the most extreme wind is gale force. Gale force winds are seriously powerful, like trees bending, can't walk in a straight line powerful. You'd usually hear this on weather reports during storms. Gale force winds expected overnight. That's the kind of wind where you seriously consider just staying home.
Absolutely. Gale force is no joke. And actually, I've experienced gale force winds up in Scotland once, and I genuinely could not open my car door. The wind was just holding it shut. It was wild. Okay, what about sky vocabulary, Ava? I feel like this is another one people don't always know all the options for.
Yes. Okay, so for the sky, clear skies is the best case scenario. Blue sky, sunshine, no clouds at all. Beautiful. Partly cloudy means there's a mix, some sunshine, some clouds, kind of dappled light. Still nice. And then overcast. Overcast means the whole sky is covered in gray cloud. No sunshine getting through at all. It's not necessarily raining, but it's flat and gray and a bit gloomy.
Overcast is honestly the word I use most days in winter. Just relentlessly overcast, for weeks on end. You start to forget what the sun looks like. But hey, that's okay, because that brings us perfectly into our idioms section. And the idioms are so good today.
They really are. Okay, so let's start with the classic under the weather. So if someone says, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, it has nothing to do with actual weather. It means you're feeling slightly ill, not terribly sick, just a little off. Maybe a scratchy throat, a headache, bit tired. You'd say it to a colleague to explain why you're not at your best. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather. I might head home early.
Yes, and it's a really polite, understated way to say it, which is very English, honestly. You don't want to be dramatic about it. Under the weather is perfect. I use this one genuinely all the time. Okay, my favorite idiom is every cloud has a silver lining. Have you heard this one, listeners? It means that even in a bad situation, there's something positive to find if you look hard enough.
Oh, I love that one. It's so optimistic. Like, imagine you miss your train, but then you bump into an old friend on the platform. Every cloud has a silver lining. Or you get rained out of a picnic, but then you'll end up having a cozy indoor day instead. That's the silver lining. It's a really lovely phrase to use when you're trying to encourage someone.
Exactly. It's a phrase of hope, really. Okay, now this next one, stealing someone's thunder. So this one has a pretty dramatic origin. If you steal someone's thunder, it means you've taken attention away from them at an important moment. Like if someone announces big news and then someone else immediately changes the subject or shares their own news, they've stolen their thunder.
Oh, yeah. Like at a party, someone announces they're engaged and then immediately someone else says, oh, me too, and we're pregnant. That's definitely stealing their thunder. You'd say, hey, don't steal my thunder if someone talks over your big moment. It's a really useful one in everyday conversation.
Totally. And then last idiom for today, right as rain. This is a positive one. If you're right as rain, you're completely fine. healthy, well, back to normal. You'd often hear it after someone's been sick or going through a tough time. Don't worry about me. I'll be right as rain in a few days. It's a reassuring phrase, almost cheerful.
Absolutely. And talking about the weather is a fantastic way to practice your English because everyone has a weather story. Everyone's been caught in rain or had a crazy hot summer day or seen their first snow. It's universal content. Okay, let's move into our little language deep dive now. James, let's talk about something that trips a lot of learners up, the difference between how is the weather and what is the weather like?
Yes. Okay, so this is one of those subtle things that doesn't seem important, but actually matters quite a bit for sounding natural. Both questions are asking about the weather, right? But they're slightly different in nuance and usage. What is the weather like is the more natural, everyday question. You're asking someone to describe the weather to you. Hey, what's the weather like out there? Oh, it's freezing and overcast. That flows really naturally.
Right, and how is the weather is slightly more formal. You might see it more in writing or in a slightly more structured question, like if you're asking someone in another city about conditions there. How's the weather in Chicago right now? That works well. But for casual, in-person conversation, what's the weather like is what you'll hear most often. It invites a descriptive answer.
Exactly. And the contracted version, what's the weather like, is what you'll actually hear in real life 90% of the time. Nobody in casual conversation says the full, what is the weather like, without contracting it. So if you want to sound natural, practice that contraction. What's the weather like today? Say it out loud a few times, listeners. It's a great phrase to have locked in.
Love it. Okay, and now the bridge. This is something I think is really, really valuable for English learners. And it's about how you use a weather comment as a doorway into a deeper, more personal conversation. Because weather talk doesn't have to stay on the surface, right? It can be a starting point.
That's such a good point. So, for example, you might start with, it's been so gray and overcast lately, hasn't it? And that's nice, that's polite. But then you can add, have you noticed it affecting your mood at all? And suddenly you've gone from talking about the sky to talking about how someone's feeling. That's the bridge. Weather opens a door, and then you walk through it into something more meaningful.
I love that. And it works so naturally because it doesn't feel like you're prying. You're using shared experience. The weather affects everyone as a way to connect. Let me give our listeners a few more example conversation starters using today's vocabulary. Ready? Here's the first one. Gosh, it's absolutely scorching today. Are you managing okay in this heat?
Ooh, nice. That's warm, it's friendly, it's an open question. The person has to respond with more than yes or no. That's good conversation design. And here's one from me. It's been so muggy this week. Have you been getting out much, or has it kept you indoors? Again, weather observation, then a personal question. Natural, easy, inviting.
Perfect. And one more. I can't believe how much it's been pouring lately. Did you manage to stay dry this morning? That last one is great because it's sympathetic, it shows awareness, and it opens up the chance for the other person to share a story, which people always love to do. People love talking about themselves, and weather gives them the perfect excuse.
They really do. And these conversation starters feel so low pressure, right? You're not asking anything personal or sensitive straight away. You're starting from common ground. And then the conversation just flows from there. That's the magic of weather small talk. It's accessible to absolutely everyone. You don't need to be an expert in anything. You just need to be outside.
You just need to be outside. That's perfect. Okay, I think that brings us beautifully to our wrap-up. James, I feel like we covered so much today. Let's quickly recap the top 3 most useful things from this episode for our listeners.
Yes. Okay, number 1, under the weather. Remember, this doesn't mean you're standing outside in bad weather. It means you're feeling a little bit ill or off. I'm a bit under the weather today. Use it anytime you're not feeling your best. It's polite, it's natural, and it's used constantly in everyday English.
Number 2, every cloud has a silver lining. Even in a difficult or disappointing situation, there's usually something positive to find if you look for it. This is a beautiful, optimistic expression, and it's perfect for encouraging a friend or staying positive yourself. I know it didn't go as planned, but hey, every cloud has a silver lining.
And number 3, and this is more of a phrase than an idiom. What's the weather like?
Practice that. Internalize it. It is your golden ticket into small talk in English. Use it with anyone, anywhere, anytime. It's never an awkward question. It's always welcome. What's the weather like out there? 4 words that can start 1,000 conversations.
I love that. Okay, and before we go, we want to say the biggest thank you to every single one of you who listened to the English Coffee Talk Show. It genuinely means so much to us. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode. We drop new content regularly, and we would hate for you to miss out.
And turn on your notifications. We like to say, don't miss a brew. Every episode is a fresh cup of English, and we wanted to have it warm, not cold. So hit that bell, turn those notifications on, and you'll be the first to know when we're back.
And if today's episode was helpful, and we really hope it was, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It takes about 30 seconds, and it makes the biggest difference for a show like ours. It helps other English learners find us, and it really does brighten our day so much. We read every single one.
We genuinely do. And to anyone out there who's on their English learning journey, whether you're just starting out or you've been working at it for years, we just want to say you are doing amazingly. Every single episode you listen to, every new word you learn, every conversation you start, even a tiny one about the weather, it all adds up. It all counts. You're making real progress, even on the days it doesn't feel like it.
That's so beautifully put, James. And hey, next time you're standing in the rain or sweating through a scorching afternoon or watching snow fall for the first time, you've got the words for it now. You can describe it. You can share it. You can connect with someone over it. That's what language is for. That's what it's all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, everyone. That's it for today's episode of the English Coffee Talk Show. I'm James.
And I'm Eva. Stay warm, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Don't forget your umbrella.